Rule number 5, only starters win games. Another obvious rule that gets thrown to the wind when trades go down. It's really simple. If you have depth at wide receiver, you need a running back, trade a wide receiver for a running back. Don't worry about the depth you have on your bench. Yeah, it's nice having depth on your bench. It looks really cool. You can kind of dick swing to your friends, but only starters win games. What does it matter if your bench guy scored 50 points? It means nothing.
Yeah, and so many of these bench guys are replaceable too. Your flex spot, you can find so many of those guys that, I mean, the points per game are so minor, with those type of players. You really don't want to give up one of those players that's giving you 20, 25 points per week just to get some player that you don't have to worry about like having an injury in the playoffs. You can find another player to replace that player.
Absolutely. Number 6, we actually kind of touched on it already, Steve, you brought it up, is 2-for-1 deals. This could also fall under the radar of like know your league, but if there's a team in your league with serious lineup voids or like critical depth issues where they're completely wiped out and there's nothing on the waiver wire because it's a deeper league, chances are they also have a losing record. Funny enough, it's how those things intertwine. So they need to make a move ASAP, especially depending on what time of the year it is. So be the team that gives them a decent to good players for one stud. If they have DeAndre Hopkins, go ahead and trade them a number 12, or I'm sorry, number 12, like a number 15 receiver and a number 18 receiver, and give them the depth and take the stud because you have the ability to do it. So do it.
Yeah, I almost said the exact same thing. Basically, like I had D-Hop in my example of a player that I'm always trying to target. I love D-Hop. And someone like, I would even do like a Keenan Allen and like a Chris Godwin or something because, I love Keenan Allen too, but DeAndre Hopkins is just so elite. If I can get less for him, if I can do something where it's like a wide receiver 15, like you said, or in a wide receiver 18, I'll do that. I get aggressive with this stuff because just the advantage that a player like DeAndre Hopkins gives you over your opponent, it's hard to get that advantage.
Absolutely, and he does it with good quarterbacks. He does it with bad quarterbacks. He just does it. He's perfect.
Absolutely. Yep.
Rule number 7, forget about the ADP. Do not hold unrealistic value on a player just because you spent draft capital. And it's tough. I have to do it all the time. The most constant in fantasy is that things will change. Players will get hurt, stars will fade, sleepers will wake up. You gotta stay fluid, which means you have to be able to adapt as things change. So allow your opinions to change as the league changes as well. You can't go into a trade and say, well, you know what, I used a 4th round pick on him, and it's just a lot to give up for this player that, he has a question mark too. Perfect example, I drafted Terrell Pryor a few years ago. Completely ruined my season. I think I drafted him in the late 3rd, early 4th round. There were some trade offers initially. I should have taken whatever came, but I couldn't let go of the fact that I drafted him in like the late 3rd, early 4th, and I had to get more, and it burnt me.
Oh yeah. The thing is that you have to have a short memory in fantasy football, whether it's you lost a trade with a player that you're trying to move or you drafted a player high. You got to just move past it. And I remember it's funny. I feel like I forget some of the trades I win, but I never forget the trades I lose. You learn from it, and you got to be fluid. You got to realize that the market literally changes by the week too.
For sure.
By
so
the like
day.
It does. Last year example was I drafted Mike Evans. Because I was a big Mike Evans believer, even though he had that bad 2017 season. I drafted him, and towards the end of the season, I picked up Damian Williams, and I had a really good team, and I was playing in the championship. Yeah, I was playing the championship game, and had to decide. This isn't necessarily, for trading, but it kind of gives you an idea on the value thing. If I was going to start Damian Williams or Mike Evans in the playoffs, I ended up benching Evans, and it was the right move. I think Damian Williams scored like 30 points. But to spin that, if you're going into the playoffs, you're reaching the trade deadline, you're hurting at running back. You may have used a 1st-round pick on Mike Evans or a player similar, but you need a running back, and there's a player like Damian Williams. I'm not afraid to push the buttons, in a standard redraft league.
For sure.
Where you don't keep these players. Yeah, because you might have used that 1st-round pick, but you got to look at, you're only a few weeks away from playing in a championship game. You got to make the moves that make sense at that time, not what made sense, when you were doing your draft.
And don't forget that hindsight's 2020, because I lost my championship in my big league this year because I am a diehard Cowboys fan. And I sat the Cowboys defense in replacement for the Colts, who were playing the Giants, who were giving up like 30 points a game for like 5 weeks in a row.
Oh, no.
And then the Giants scored 40 points on the Colts. And I still almost won that game because I had Pat Mahomes and Tyreek Hill. I wind up losing it by a few points, and the defense would have made all the difference if I stuck with my Cowboys.
That was in the championship game?
That was in the championship game, and I lost to a fellow Cowboys friend. So it was extra rough For sure.
Ouch, for sure.
Last but not least, rule number 8, fantasy trade evaluator apps. Everybody is looking for free or quick advice. Hey, don't forget, we answer DMs for free all the time. But there are several trade evaluators and calculators that have emerged, and I'm sure there's more growing by the day that will give you calculated advice whenever you want. They will evaluate and rate the trade based off past performances of the players, future strengths and remaining schedule, bye weeks, injury history, and all that. Always nice to get an unbiased opinion on that, and you can do it instantly. There's a couple things that people can do right off the bat to change their fate in fantasy football. Go look at the fantasy ADP calculator or fantasy calculator ADP. Bring that to your draft and use that. Pick the best player available, and I bet you your team will you'll be able to navigate with what you have for the rest of the season. And when you make trades, use a trade evaluator app. That'll cut out most of the stupid stuff that people do.
Oh, absolutely. I use them all the time, and it's not a science. It's not this isn't facts. It's basically it's different opinions from different outlets. And what I do is I try to show like a common ground with my fellow league mates. Like, hey, I'm not just making this up. This trade is fair. Let me show you the reasons why. I'll show rankings. I'll show trade apps. And, I'm trying to improve my team. It doesn't matter. The players, the different makeup of the players can decide what makes your team better and what makes your opponent's team better. So I like to bring those things. I'll send screenshots. I'll text them to my friends. I'm like, hey, what do you think of this? And I've found a lot of them, they're pretty receptive to it. Some of them are, more old school and they're just like, whatever,
Yeah, right.
But for
they don't want to show their hand.
But at least it shows that you're not just trying to like win something over on somebody or try to like,
right.
screw someone over.
I didn't make this trade proposal up out of thin air. I'm not the bogus guy in the league. That's Jesse.
That's hilarious. Yeah, no, I found those things, they do work. If you give it that little bit of like, you're being genuine, you're like, hey, look, I looked this up. It goes a long way, and you get more response that way.
For sure. Well, dude, I had a blast today. Thank you so much for coming on. We got to do this again, man. We
for
got
sure.
a good vibe going on.
I agree. Anytime, man. Hit me up, and I'll come on anytime.
Be sure to like and follow. If what we put out today helped you in any way, please share it. If what we put out today pissed you off and you think we're stupid, please also share it as well. But your mom's a hoe. Make sure you follow us on Instagram. Give us a like and check out Fantasy Guys on Instagram. They're a great page with great information. Peace out.